All right, thank you, and welcome to the March 4th meeting of the City of Sacramento Disability Advisory Commission. And I just want to remind the public that if you would like to speak on any item on our agenda, you can turn in speaker slips to the city clerk, which is on the left side of the dais, if you're facing the dais. And then we'll get started with our agenda. Clerk, can you please call the roll to determine quorum?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Commissioners, please unmute your microphones. Commissioner Greenbaum?
Present.
Commissioner Barnbaum?
Here.
Commissioner Patel? Absent. Commissioner Guerrero?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson? Absent. Commissioner Dyson? Oops, absent. Commissioner Napper? Absent. Commissioner Pullen? Here. Commissioner Igwebe?
Here.
Commissioner Cower?
Present.
And Vice Chair Ellis.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Awesome. And I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Barnbaum to, if you please rise if you're able. I'm going to turn over to Commissioner Barnbaum to lead us in the land acknowledgement.
Okay, please rise for the opening acknowledgement in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin, Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous peoples' history, contribution, and lives. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someday. Thank you, and you may be seated. Before we get into our formal agenda, I want to recognize and welcome a new member to our commission, Elise Guerrero. If you would like to just briefly introduce yourself to the rest of us on the dais and to the public.
Hello, my name is Elsie Guerrero, and I'm very excited to be here. I have a background in disability work I've done over the last 10 years. I practice special education law. I also serve in the Sacramento County Developmental Disability Planning and Advisory Council. I also work with children with disabilities and also write books about children with disabilities. So I am very excited to be here and be able to learn how I can serve my community and my new neighborhood, District 4, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Fantastic, and thank you so much for joining us. Next, I'm going to go to our formal agenda, which the first item on our agenda is the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar? Are there any, clerk, are there any members of the public who wish to speak on our consent calendar?
Thank you, Chair. I have no speaker slips on this item.
And then is there a motion to approve our consent calendar?
Mr. Vice Chair, this is Commissioner Barnbaum, and I would like to make a motion to adopt the consent calendar as presented.
Is there a second?
I do. I second it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that was a motion by Commissioner Barnbaum and a second by Commissioner Cower.
Okay, roll. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Commissioners, please unmute your microphones. Commissioner Greenbaum?
Yeah, for the consent calendar.
Oh, aye. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnbaum?
Aye.
Commissioner Patel? Absent. Commissioner Guerrero?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson? Absent. Commissioner Dyson? Absent. Commissioner Napper? Absent. Commissioner Pullen?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Igwebe?
Aye.
You, Commissioner Carr?
Aye.
And Vice Chair Ellis?
Aye.
You. The motion passes.
Thank you. I'm a little rusty at chairing the meeting apparently tonight. So we're moving into, thank you, Clerk. We are moving into our discussion calendar items. Item number 3, which is the first item on our formal agenda, is the H Street Bikeway Project, which is being presented by Cecilyn, is it Foot? Foot. Thank you for correcting. Awesome. Cecilyn is an associate engineer for the city and will be presenting on the H Street Bikeway Project whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Cecilyn Foot, and I'm with the Department of Public Works. I am the project manager for the H Street Bikeway Project. The H Street Bikeway Project is located along H Street between 5th Street and 10th Street, and also with a connection on 10th Street between H Street and I Street. The purpose of the project is to improve safety and connectivity to the Sacramento Valley Station from downtown and midtown. It will serve as a connection to the growing areas in the rail yards to the north. It'll provide a safer and convenient two-way space, buffering cyclists from other traffic flow and addressing potential conflicts in the street, such as crossing light rail tracks in this area. The Bikeway project proposes to meet this purpose by constructing a two-way Class 4 separated bikeway on H Street and a Class 2 bike lane on 10th Street. Oops, went too far. Sorry. So this project is part of a larger package of projects that will complement the Sacramento Valley Station area plan. The city received a grant through the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, also known as TIRCIP, and we received an award for several different projects, including the Bus Mobility Center, the relocated bus loop, the double tracking of the light rail on H Street, as well as this H Street Bikeway. And you'll hear more about some of the projects going on in the Sacramento Valley Station in the next item on the agenda. But to deliver this project, we're coordinating with all these projects, and in particular with Sacramento Regional Transit, as their project will be overlapping within our project limits. We'll also be coordinating with Sacramento County, who has the new city courthouse, the new county courthouse, the jail, and their administration building. And also along this corridor is the federal courthouse. So I'll just quickly go through what we're planning on each block. The first block from 5th Street to 6th Street, we are proposing to do a lane reduction from 2 lanes down to 1 lane in order to put in the bikeway. On this block, the Sacramento Regional Transit is planning to double track, so we'll be coordinating with them on their second track. We'll also, at the intersection, construct ADA compliant curb ramps where they're needed, and the other compliant curb ramps will remain. And we'll also ensure that audible signals are installed at the traffic signal if they are not existing. Between 6th Street and 7th Street, we're proposing to continue the lane reduction. On this block, the travel lane will be shared with the second light rail track. And we're putting in a right turn pocket to accommodate the need. And at the intersection, we'll be putting in a separate bike phase at the traffic signal to avoid conflicts. And the bikeway along the south side will be separated from the roadway, from the travel lane by hatching and vertical posts. From 7th Street to 8th Street, the lane reduction continues, and we will also make sure to have bike phases at the signals to avoid conflicts. We'll be putting in, or we're planning to put in parking separated two-way class for bikeway on this stretch. And as with every intersection that's within our project limits, we will ensure that all the curb ramps are brought up to ADA compliance and ensure that audible signals are at each signal. From 8th to 9th, from 8th to 9th, we will continue with our design with the parking separated bikeway and with ADA compliant curb ramps and audible signals at the audible pedestrian signals at the signals. From 9th to 10th, which is right outside City Hall, we're going to be doing something a little different here. The two travel lanes will remain, but in an effort to maintain the heavily used loading zone out on H Street, we're proposing to reconstruct the curb line to bring it out towards the roadway. And at this location, we are proposing to construct a sidewalk level bikeway. So the bikeway will be separated from the existing sidewalk with the existing tree line there and the planters. But at the loading zone, I have an example. We'll do another treatment to ensure that there's a color difference to distinguish between the bikeway and the sidewalk. And also put in some kind of domes or some other treatment to ensure that people with canes can detect them. And what the treatment the exact treatment we use will be determined during design. Also, I'll go back and at the corners, we will also be putting in bulb outs that will shorten the crossing length. And then finally, on 10th Street, we're just putting in a buffered bike lane. This will allow us to connect the existing bikeway on 10th Street that currently ends at I Street. And so this will provide a connection in our network so that we can connect all the way to the station. So our schedule right now is that we are working on completing our preliminary engineering. We're hoping by the end of spring to have that done. And then we'll be able to move into final design, which will last approximately a year to 18 months. So any questions? Yes.
So before we go take Commissioner questions, Clerk, do we have any members of the public who wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I do not have any speaker slips on this item.
All right, thank you. And who's our first speaker? Okay, Commissioner Barnbaum?
Yes, so on this slide, am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Oh, okay. On this slide, once you finish the completion of the final design, what is the preliminary schedule to enter into construction?
So because we are coordinating with the other projects that are going on, the timing is to be determined. We do have funding for construction, so we're coordinating with with Sacramento RT to to coordinate our construction.
Okay, then
So we're looking at maybe 2028,
maybe 2028.
as long as we can get coordinated with the light rail.
Okay, and then I wanted to ask a question, though, about safety and enforcement. So as folks know, H Street westbound becomes the Sacramento Valley Station roadway behind the station building, between the building and the existing light rail tracks. And as you know, there is a stop sign at the pedestrian walkway where pedestrians coming off of inner city trains are walking toward the station waiting room and vice versa from the station waiting room over to the trains. I have observed numerous times, too many to count, bicyclists ignore the stop sign at that stop sign. It's roughly what would be the equivalent of about 4th Street, but it's the walkway, again, between the station waiting room and the inner city trains. Is there a way, now that this is being presented today, to include some type of safety enhancement and enforcement that, hey, there's a stop sign, don't just go to Old Sac, or don't just come from Old Sac straight back through. You need to stop first, just like any of the interstate buses do, heading to Stockton, Reno, or Reading. Thank you.
I think the segment you're talking about is just to the west of this project. So it's in the Sacramento Valley footprint. And actually, we have someone here who's going to be talking about the different improvements that they're going to be doing over in that area.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that
No,
that part was going to be part of the next presentation, as I had some separate questions about the intermodal facility and the commuter buses, but I was holding that off for the next presentation.
So just to clarify your point, this project basically stops
Stops
at the
at
Amtrak station,
Yeah, we stop at 5th Street.
5th Street, yeah.
5th Street.
And, but we're working closely with the other projects, so
work
that
in
there's
tandem.
continuation. Yeah.
Good, okay. Are you all finished, Commissioner Barnum?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll finish with my questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Pullen?
So I do have a couple of questions. Number one, the report, it does list coordination, as you said, with SAC-RT and the county, but no public or neighborhood outreach has occurred yet, according to the report.
Actually, we just had a public outreach meeting last Thursday, right here in City Hall, and it was very well attended. We probably had 30 or 40 citizens come in, and we took in all their feedback. So we have had the public outreach meeting for the community, and we're currently scheduling meetings with some of the stakeholders along the corridor.
Okay. Is there, as part of that outreach, is there engagement prior to the final design specifically about accessibility with accessible needs with the stakeholders? My concern is if there is this outreach happening only at City Hall, whereas going out, the main way of engagement sessions, asking for people's feedback when they are disabled, is having all of the accessibility provided at the start. So was there like ASL interpreting there? Was there, large print? Was there Braille? Was there tactile? What was the engagement like to look for those specific stakeholders, if there was?
We did not have that, but we did engage directly with the Braille, one of the Braille organizations. They did email and give us some feedback. But we will, before we finalize the design, we will come back out to the community, and we'll make sure to improve our engagement with the accessibility community.
Okay. And then there's, one of the cross-sections is, like, for example, at 6th and 7th, the sidewalks are as narrow as like 4.5 feet in some of the blocks. And then the proposed designs do improve this, but is there a minimum proposed sidewalk clear width after accounting for signal poles, light poles, planters, utility boxes? I mean, where are those measurements? Where are they starting and ending, I guess?
We will make sure when we're doing the design that we meet all the clearances. I believe 48 feet we need clearance. But we will make sure that any poles we put in or any other equipment we put in, we will maintain the clearances that we need.
And that clearance is just the minimum for the ADA?
We will try to do as much as we can, but we will definitely meet the minimum.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. I think just to Commissioner Pullen's point, I think, yeah, doing more than the minimum is good. And I believe, if my memory serves, city ordinance is above the minimum for ADA compliance, but it's like an average. So like when there is a pole or a box, it can shrink down to the ADA minimum, but typically it's a little more than that. Like you're saying, we try to do the maximum clearances, but given, you know, the age of our city and our infrastructure, sometimes that's not feasible, but we appreciate that, or at least I do personally. And I really appreciate this project. I think this is long overdue in this corridor, and especially in and around the Sacramento Valley Station, having better connectivity to that hub, especially hopefully someday high-speed rail will be coming in there. But with all the intercity connections, light rail improvements going on, and eventual streetcar, this is a really major transit hub for our city. So I really appreciate this project personally and as a member of this commission. And I believe, Cecilyn, I think this is your first time coming before us, right? Where have you been?
It's the first time I've been in City Hall. I think I did it on Zoom.
Okay.
I did a presentation on Zoom once during the
different.
pandemic, yes.
Well, you did amazing. Thank you so much. Unless there's any other questions or comments from the commissioners, we'll move to our next item.
Mr. Vice Chair, was your comments more in the form of a motion? If so, I will second.
No, this is just a discussion item.
If you don't mind, Chair Ellis, I would like to interject.
Yes, please.
Cecilyn Foote is our author for the Disability Advisory Commission's prospective plan.
Oh,
At council yesterday.
thank you.
So she works with all the project managers to document the accessibility improvements that are included in our annual CIPs. So she's done that for many years now, maybe 10 prospective plans. So don't let her
Fool us.
her friendly, humble demeanor fool you. She's very involved in our
commission,
the
just behind the scenes.
success of our accessibility program. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jesse, and thank you, Cecilyn, for all your work you've done for this commission over the years.
Thank you, and thank you for your time tonight.
All right, and we will move, let me find my spot. We will move to item 4, which dovetails very well into this previous, excuse me, previous item, the Sacramento Valley Station project update, presented by Supervising Architect Greg Taylor. So whenever you're ready, Greg, please take it away.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, thank you. It's a pleasure to be in front of you tonight. Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Barnbaum, Commissioner. I appreciate that. Absolutely. I also presented back in pandemic times, I think via Zoom back in the day, so it's been a while. So good to be back in front of you. We've got a lot moving forward, and I'll kick it off here with a couple of overviews just before we get into the projects. So as Cecilyn mentioned, the projects I'm going to present tonight were all funded by the TIRSIP program. That was a CalSTA, California State Transportation Agency, funded through SB1 gas tax and cap and trade funds. And the program has been in place, I believe, since 2018, if I've got that right, that focuses on improving transit statewide, connecting rail with transit, coordinating schedules, and it was really the time we were working on our Sacramento Valley Station area plan, which I presented to the commission back in the pandemic days, that was adopted in 2021, was able to be coordinated with the state rail plan at the time of 2018. And that state rail plan had this map that looks at trying to bring a coordination between the rail system and hub stations with the spokes, the networks of buses primarily reaching to all points in the Northern California, in our case here, focusing on Sacramento. So this map here and the diagram represent that from the state rail plan. So we've worked hard in our projects and the projects we've applied for in TIRSIP to fulfill sort of the mandate that the state's laid out for Sacramento Valley Station. So the station has its own local purpose, but it's also very much a regional and Northern California station. Also want to just introduce the context for development around. This slide indicates the projects that have been in the pipeline. Some have been completed now, but it just overall gives the picture that within a half mile, the gray, blue-gray shaded area, and 3/4 of a mile, that line, are significant projects that are coming online coincidental to us expanding the station, which isn't an opportunity that many cities have. The rail yards in particular, with its 240 acres for infill development, is one of the unique opportunities that we have in this country, and we're trying to build that and keep up with that as fast as we can in expanding the station and the need. So some of the projects that are in the rail yards that are coming online here are indicated in this diagram. All of them are moving forward. We have Kaiser up. I don't know if I have a pointer here, but at the top there is, as many of you may have seen from the freeway, is under construction. We're actively working through on the soccer stadium. The main road infrastructure has been put in place, and then we are focusing now close to the station in the central shops area. And this gives you kind of an overview of some of the projects coming online. And then I'll use that to introduce the one close to us in the shops that we're on our site, is a new entrance connecting the existing Steve Cone passageway, AKA the passenger tunnel, that was completed in 2012, to the new plaza area. In this diagram, I've got some better images coming up, but you can see the new entrance there in red and the plaza that's making that connection. So in the slide to the upper right, you can see the tunnel kind of stops with a fence and a gate. That's our emergency access up, and that wall that you see at the very end will be removed. And you'll see an access into the plaza. There's a little more detailed plan area. And this shows the connection on the left. I'm sorry, this rotates. So north now, that had been up, is now to the right. But you can see there in that illustrated diagram to the left that indicating the tunnel, stairs coming straight forward in the axis, and then a accessible ramp winding back, and it's very nicely landscaped. There's graphics that will be cast into the concrete that relate to the history of the railroad. And then we have the whole plaza that this connects to Telegrapher Avenue, which is in the second image to the right, is to the far right there, that street. The plaza will be maintained by the development company with our community facilities district, and then we have a easement, irrevocable easement for access to the station through that plaza to the station via telegrapher, and then coming from Fifth Street that comes up from the bottom of the image into that main spline. So this gives a little better picture of what it's going to look like. You're seeing the stairs coming up, and you see an overview of the aerial there with the reimagined paint shop building, which was the oldest structure on the site, and that's being refitted to be an entertainment venue for Live Nation of up to 4,000 capacity for that venue that you see. So it's going to be quite a dramatic change, opening a new door to Sacramento Valley Station without us having to do much on site. We get actually a new, there that we can connect to with the station. So that is in construction, that had been presented before, so I just wanted to update you on that. And then I'm going to talk here about our access into the station, kind of picking up on the 8th Street Cycle project and some others as well. The area plan focuses on a very pedestrian-focused, transit-focused, and the car is allowed to come in. It's diminished. We see that there's opportunities for parking that will develop off-site, and we really want to make the focus pedestrian area at the station. So the smaller diagram to the left shows the vehicle loops that come in and loop through for pickup and drop-off and loop out, leaving the center between the historic station and what we see as the new concourse eventually, connected through a transit plaza that is pedestrian only and bike access only as well. I'm going to talk to you tonight about the loop on the right side, and that's kind of contained in this image here. That's an image from our plan that shows light rail as it comes in on the right. So I should maybe point out, and I was planning to have a pointer, so I'm going to have to just talk this through. Is there?
Move that mouse to your right.
Over here?
You might be able to point out there. It won't really.
All right, that's perfect. Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to leave the cursor there. So currently light rail, well, it disappeared. Currently light rail comes in behind the station and stops, as many of you who have been there would know. Long on the books and planning since actually 2003, I think, before the city purchased the site. Light rail was to be redirected in this kind of north-south direction that you see here in the image, along the edge of the eastern edge of the site. And we are now bringing in a new pickup and drop-off loop, and I'm going to jump to the next image here to show that diagram. This better shows it here. Just directly to the west of light rail that will allow a more direct access to the pedestrian tunnel. And I'll come back to this image, but I'm just going to jump to this diagram and then come back. That you can see currently we have about just under 1,000 feet for folks that are dropped off at the front of the station, make their way through the station, out to the passageway, and to get to the center of the platforms. And then from there you have to go up to the track, so that's a little bit even longer than this. But this new drop-off point will allow to almost have that distance to the tracks. And currently Amtrak provides a service for folks that prefer not to make that or cannot make that distance with a electric shuttle that picks up at the North Plaza. That is intended to remain as that service, but this provides just another point of access closer to the station. And so I'm going to go back here, and Commissioner Barnbaum, I think you'll be interested in this, and to your question, that you see in the kind of orange shaded diagram, that from that point and to the west of Fifth Street will be accommodating the cycle track access into the site at that point. So this pickup and drop-off loop, which we're just going to be starting design on here upcoming shortly, will be the receiving end of the H Street cycle track. And I understand you're very well, just having been down there today. We have a lot of conflicts. We still have people, despite all of our attempts and signage and trying to increase enforcement, still have people driving back to drop off vehicles, and then we have the overlay of bicycles as a throughput. It's going to be difficult, but we're being vigilant to keep after that, but this will improve, I think, the access, because we'll try and get people in this project to get them to enter on the north side of the roadway, and then we'll deal with the conflict of pedestrian crossing in more of a sidewalk condition where I think we can control it better. Right now, the open roadway is kind of free-for-all and people just zoom through. So we're very conscious of that, and we'll keep that in mind. So with this project, the existing bus stops will be slightly shifted a little bit to the west, but the 3 bays maintained. And we're actually, as Cecilyn talked, we're working to coordinate these projects together with the light rail project, and so that they can go in concert and work together and be managed well, and hopefully expedite the construction, the overall construction timeline. So I wanted to also point out another project that we received funding for in 2004, cycle 7 TIRSIT project. And we've had successive projects since 4, 5, 6, and 7. We've received funding in each of those every 2 years. But this is for what we call the West Side Access Project. And it's a segment of Burkett Street that is now constructed. I'll try the cursor again. From this intersection of, Burkett and Telegrapher, the street stops there currently, and we were able to get funding to extend the remaining 400 feet south and bring the sidewalk and the class 4 separated bikeway down to the cul-de-sac. And we're also have expanded the program to include a increase in the circumference of the cul-de-sac so that SAC-RT buses can turn around, and they will have a layover on the east side of the turnaround, which is indicated here in the yellow striping. So we're in preliminary design. This is being designed by the developer. The funding will go to them for construction as also with the north entrance that I showed earlier. But the point here is that we get 3 buses to layover for end of line. We provide a restroom for the drivers at the end of the line for servicing. It will work out, I think, great for the future when the River Museum and other programs expand, so that if you have school tours or so on, you can gather your kids at the end of the line, board the bus, not waiting for the bus to zoom off. I think it'll support access to the waterfront, and I think be a great asset for everyone here. So that's currently in early design, and I think the intent is to be out with construction on this by next year by the developer. So it's moving quickly, but be glad to take any comments back with me on that.
Thank you so much for this awesome presentation.
One last project.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I know it's long, sorry. So the last one I want to present tonight is also this point of the hub and spoke process is we are designing for construction 17 new bus stops in the Midtown downtown area primarily for the regional commuter buses. And the diagram to the upper left, this was a study that was also funded by TIRSIP in 2020, led by SACOG, And the city is now implementing through a separate grant for engineering design and construction. But the regional agencies such as El Dorado Transit, Amador, Roseville Transit, all kind of stop in their own stops around the city. There's 34 stops that were, at least at the time of the study. And we are making that a more efficient, identifiable route and reducing the number of stops by 7 to 17, but allowing them to be overlapping so that nowhere is there more than a seven-minute walk shed within all the main employment areas. So those are the 3 diagrams that show that. And we have a similar condition. We are actually moving the bus stop into the parking lane to engage with the traffic where we have two-way streets so that buses are not pulling in and then getting trapped and having to pull out again into traffic. So it works sort of like a BRT, but it's not a BRT route. So that's illustrated here in the middle, and I've got another larger image here to show you. But this will connect and feed into the Valley Rail Station in Midtown at Q Street, with stops close by and proximity there. And then also, as we go through and up over the tracks and outwards towards Richards and the River District, we pick up some of the housing projects and the plaza that I just spoke about in the rail yards. So one unique piece is that I've been kind of working on this for about 5+ years. The canopies that were used at the temporary Trans-Bay site in San Francisco during the construction of the Trans-Bay terminal shown in that park, that's the rooftop park to the terminal. And you can see indicated in that red square there, all the canopies in a street view. They are still being used. They are now owned by this city redevelopment agency, but we're on course to coordinate the reuse of those and bring those to Sacramento. And that was part of the grant application and included in the grant to reuse those. They were designed to be reused, and we're going to take advantage of that. And we think they has a really great character. They fit well into the Sacramento streetscape. And so here, very similar to what Cecilyn presented for here outside of City Hall, the bike lane will be in certain areas brought in, and then we would have detectable warnings there at the main crossing where it comes to level with the sidewalk and the bus stop, and then the bike way drops down back to street level at the very outside edges. So I'd be glad to take any other additional comments, notes, concerns on this design with me to the design team. Lastly, we're finishing up we broke into a 15% set to identify all the issues and get early cost estimates. Now we're going into detailed design here this year and through into next year and be ready for construction in 27 to 28. So that's the conclusion, and sorry for the length of the presentation.
All right. No, not at all. Thank you so much for this very detailed and comprehensive presentation that goes even far beyond the actual physical footprint of our Sacramento Valley Station. Before I go into Commissioner questions and comments, Clerk, do we have anyone from the public who would like to make public comment on this item?
I do not have any speaker slips on this item.
All right, thank you. And then I'll turn it over to Commissioner Barnbaum.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you for the presentation to the Disability Advisory Commission. On that last piece you just mentioned about what Sacramento is going to be reusing, the new place is referred to as the Salesforce Transit Center. Correct. Runs on Fremont Street between Mission and Howard in downtown San Francisco. Amtrak, through their long-distance trains and the 2 JPAs, the Gold Runner Board and the Capital Corridor Board, there are throughway bus stops right in front of the Salesforce Center, but not actually in the garage like AC Transit does. For anyone going to San Francisco and checking out the new transit center. what I had a question of was, so kind of tying back into the previous item, is some of the construction that you talked about, and I wanted to highlight the one about Bear Cut for a minute. That was some new information I didn't know of. Is that kind of tied in to the construction that may be starting in 2028 with regard then to H Street, or is the Beer Cut thing, as you indicated, moving along and it may even begin quicker and sooner?
Yeah, that's a separate timeline piece, separate funding, separate project, yeah, smaller project for one. So it's moving, that's pretty much at the developer's schedule, and they're indicating wanting to move forward quickly with that project. It helps with just access, so that their goal for the main Central Shops Plaza project, the entertainment, is to be open by the end of 2027, which is quite aggressive, but they're working towards that. So this was kind of a compendium piece to that, in a way, to provide more access. And what I did fail to say in the presentation, that we're connecting to the existing ramp and tunnel that was built in 2012 as part of the track relocation, that has never been able to open because it wasn't connecting to a public way. So this project connects to the public way.
This one
and
will,
opens it
okay.
up. Yeah, I missed that.
And 2027, by the way, in that, when you showed the various projects on one of the early slides, I think I was told the entertainment center, the stadium, and they filed for an expanded stadium, I'm told, with the city just recently, and the adjoining light rail station at Rail Yards and 7th should be all ready sometime next year. My follow-up question was, when you were describing a lot of things, one thing that occurred to me is a project now called Sacramento, or SAC-RT 2050, formerly the Comprehensive Operational Analysis at SAC-RT. So they're doing two parts to it. A long-range transportation plan, which might involve going to the voters within the city limits of the city of Sacramento in November through a citizens group. But on the short-range transit plan, they're doing a lot of things about service changes, service efficiency, and things like that. Have you been in contact with folks like Anthony Adams, James Drake, Rowan Brandt, Kevin Alvarez, and just their team in planning, coordinating what you just presented with what they want to do, so that a lot of the things are coming together from across public agencies, and no one's trying to do things separate without communicating?
No, yeah, no. In fact, the West Side project, we came to them. They were having trouble finding a place that they could lay over their buses at the end of the route for servicing the area around the new Kaiser Hospital and so on. So we presented this to them as an idea, and we've been working with them and coordinating with them on that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's soon probably going to be resolved.
Yeah, that's incorporated in the design, to have the ability to lay over 3 buses there with the restroom facility exclusively for the drivers for the end of route.
Great. And I hope that the drivers will also have access to a break room too while they're on end of route, not just a restroom.
Yeah. So we've been working with SAC-RT, and we put it coordination email when we're doing the grant to, this is we were applying for, and so we've incorporated that into the grant.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair. Those are the questions I have at the moment. Bless you.
Thank you. And thank you for your comments. Turning over to Commissioner Greenbaum.
I had canceled my request, but that's okay, because I was waiting kind of towards the end to thank you for your presentation. You know, I'm personally, and I think everyone will share my excitement with regards to the Sacramento Valley Station, walkways being shortened into the bus, into the Amtrak. That's been inaccessible for years, and for so many people, whether it's, you're traveling with children or, large luggage or other limitations. So I think that's exciting, and, I as someone that rides very often into the city, well, I'm personally excited for that too, and I enjoyed the presentation. It was very detailed, so thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for writing.
Commissioner Pullen?
Yeah, thank you for such a detailed presentation. I understand that the pickup and drop off does reduce it quite a bit. My question is, in the report it says the city will coordinate with Amtrak on accessible access. Now my fear is, it's Amtrak. So the current Amtrak experience of accessibility, as Commissioner Greenbaum stated, is inaccessible, and the city sort of banking on this shuttle system to do the heavy lifting of that. The shuttle, I was curious, what is the shuttle system? And as recently as 2025, there's a lovely blog post by a wheelchair travel blog who talked about how the shuttle is a golf cart that works for passengers who can self-transfer but is not designed for wheelchair users who cannot transfer out of their chairs, and that ticket counter staff and conductors are poorly coordinated on when the shuttle will arrive, whether the shuttle exists, and when it will happen. So my concern is if the city is sort of baking into their plan to sort of say, well, Amtrak has got it, what is the safeguards involved there, especially with if there's a grievance that somebody might have, if they submit it to the city, will the city say, go talk to Amtrak, and then Amtrak says, go talk to the city? What's the coordination there?
Yeah, you bring up a very important point. It has not been easy. They are our tenants. We inherited the lease with the building. We have some flexibility I think we can have with our use agreements to try and get more response from them on that. But I think the public comment is probably our best vehicle to help work with us on the city to work through with that, because we do have to, they have control of the access to the platforms. And I know even now with this commenter saying that the ability not everyone can transfer to that vehicle. And there's been numerous times when I know people have had to rely on friends and family to help them get to the platforms via the ramps. So that is going to, I think, be an issue that we have to continually work Amtrak on. Because I know they have docent systems, if we can convince them finding a way to have people that would be there to attend at this entrance point, we will have the ability to have a better connection between the drop-off and what we call the Midway Plaza, that kind of covered area just before the top of the ramp. They currently have a station there. My hope is that we can make that kind of a valet point where there could be a docent there that could respond quickly to the needs from that point. But we haven't got there yet, but I really appreciate the comment, and any more comments we can receive like that would be helpful.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, obviously, it's really rough when it's a private company and dealing with who's in charge of what and why and when. I will say for what the city can control with the pickup and drop off, the 540-foot path If it could be sort of baked in that there's seating and rest areas like every 100 feet, and there's weather protection and adequate lighting and that type of stuff, really making sure that if that is all the city can control, that that 540 feet is the most accessible pathway. That might be a way to sort of offer a more accessible path than the golf cart, and sort of push disabled people towards that to say, look, we've done all this stuff, look, we've really thought about it on this path, so that it's not, I could see a lot of confusion and upset if, you know, it's like, oh, okay, this is accessible, this is new, and then they have to deal with Amtrak, and then they go, what the heck, City of Sacramento, you said this was accessible. So if there's a really a way to double and triple down on that 540-foot path, that it be as accessible as humanly possible, more than the minimum, more than anything, knowing that the alternatives are not something we can control, I think that would really help as well.
So your suggestion then, for instance, in the tunnel, to be able to have some seating for a respite, to kind of, that'd be about a midway point before you ascend to the platforms, or that would be helpful? Because we are looking at how we can improve the tunnel experience as a separate project as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I would highly recommend any, and this goes to anybody, there's some really good resources for accessible design by disabled architects. And one of the things is Alexa Vaughn, who's down at UCLA. She specifically has stuff on deaf space and also crip space. And so part of that means having sort of places outside of the walkway that you can sit, that you can sort of collect yourselves. And I believe the current suggestion for that is every 150 feet or 200 feet that you have a sheltered, away, safe area that you can stop, collect yourself, and whatever that may be, whether that be to sit or to reorient yourself, whatever. So yeah, the tunnel as well, making sure that there's a lot of lighting down in that tunnel for safety, but also for wayfinding, because tunnels obviously make it a lot harder to orient as well. So there's a lot of really good tools out there. Like I said, Alexa Vaughn has an online resource for that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you reminded me, thank you, I'm working with San Joaquin Rail Commission. There is a pilot project they're talking about for Sacramento Valley Station for wayfinding that will be using your phone for helping guide visually, that we're going to hopefully have a presentation here. I'd like to come back in the next couple months or so, hopefully.
Is that Good Maps?
It's Navisign, I believe.
Navisign, okay, interesting. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. A lot of what I was going to bring up has been brought up by my colleagues, but I would just say, I think this is a really fantastic project, long time coming, and I think, yeah, some of the history you've shared with us, where the city kind of inherited some of this and maybe wasn't necessarily brought in as a partner when they moved the tracks and built the tunnel and all that, those things, and we're coming in now and trying to bring in those enhancements and make it as accessible as we hopefully can as the rail yards development takes off, like we've all been wanting and hoping in the future. And so I like this idea of kind of this tunnel way is going to kind of be a bridge or a kind of activate towards getting into the rail yards and not just to get on a train. All in all, this has been a very comprehensive presentation and really appreciate, and I think really highlighting the coordination between all these different entities is, takes a lot of effort and a lot of time between, you know, the city, Amtrak, SAC-RT, the joint powers authorities of the different rail entities. You know, that takes a lot of effort on the part of staff. And I just want to say thank you for everyone involved in these two projects. Because because that coordination, then in the end, we can see the finished product. And it's not like, well, why is it like this? Why did this end here and didn't continue through? Well, there's another entity that wasn't part of the planning process. So I really applaud all the efforts to really try to coordinate all these different projects as they all flow together. So thank you so much. And then with that, oh, okay. Commissioner Barnwell, my apologies.
Yeah, thank you. Just as a follow-up, you mentioned about the wayfinding program that the Rail Commission headquartered in Stockton is looking at doing. And I was just looking at my calendar. I know they have a set dates for their Joint Powers Authority meetings, and they rotate around the Gold Runner corridor. I have asked them, I don't know if they're going to do this or not, to have their May 15th meeting in Sacramento. That still remains to be seen. I know that they've said that on March 19th, they're going to meet in Hanford. They had to move it up from a Friday to a Thursday, and I'm not able to make it due to prior scheduling conflicts and commitments. But then I heard you mention you want to come back.
Yeah, we've talked, they've had some changes in staff, but I just had a communication. We do have a monthly, called the SVS Working Group. All the agencies convene. We do a catch up and report out every third Wednesday each month. So brought that up at the last meeting. We're looking for a date that we can come to you with that.
Okay, so looking at my calendar, because I'm sure we're going to discuss under commissioner comments a little debate about April and May, but that's to come. Would you be open to come back June 3rd to this commission at 17:30?
I believe I'm open. I'll have to check
Why
with
don't
them.
we,
Yeah, we'll
let our staff coordinate
I
what
want
works
to make sure I
best.
give you a date
Yeah.
where it's more certain than uncertain.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you.
we'll-
Yeah, we
we'll-
would love to have you back, of course.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, and thank you again for an awesome presentation. And we'll move right along to our next item, number 5, our Stockton Boulevard Safety and Transit Enhancements presented by Jesse Gotham, Supervising Engineer and staff to our commission. So Jesse, take it away.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ellis. It's my privilege to bring this project forward. This project has been the vision of our city leadership as well as regional transit and the county for some time now. In 2023, we were awarded funding from our Sacramento Area Council of Governments to kick this project off. And so we formed a partnership with Regional Transit in Sac County to bring this project forward. This constitutes our first real public forum of presenting this project. And kind of you're getting the first look at the vision here. And so working in conjunction with RT and the county, we went through a procurement process and had interest from firms all over the nation. And we ended up selecting Kimley Horn to lead this effort, which has experience in many different states implementing bus rapid transit as well as safety improvements along the corridor. So it's my honor to introduce Greg Kyle. He is leading the team, and he will be handling the presentation tonight, but I might interject here and there.
Thank you, Jesse, and good evening, everyone. As Jesse mentioned, this project is being advanced as a partnership with the city as the lead agency, but with SAC RT as well as Sacramento County as key partners. And the stage of the project that we're working on right now, we kicked it off just about a year ago in March 2025, is the alternatives analysis phase. And we anticipate completing that phase in the middle of this year, 2026, and transitioning into stage 2, which will be the environmental review phase, as well as preparing preliminary engineering plans to initiate the design of the project. What's shown here is a project area map, and so the project extends from the south at the Florin Town Center into downtown Sacramento. And the project it's a multifaceted project. There's a complete streets component of the project that extends from the Florin Town Center north on Stockton Boulevard to Alhambra Boulevard. In addition, we're looking at a way to connect a BRT route from the Florin Town Center into downtown Sacramento, and we're studying two alignments, one that follows the existing Route 51, and the other route which follows the Route 51 north to the Broadway, the Stockton Broadway intersection, and then would follow the alignment of the Sacramento Regional Transit Route 38 into downtown. And at the beginning of the project, we worked to establish a vision of the corridor. And it's got some key elements, including safety, multimodal, being able to develop and deliver a premium transit service, developing a sustainable project that is going to be durable in changing climates and adaptable, and also looking at a project that's really geared towards the community, being able to facilitate access to opportunities and to create an inviting and safe environment for all. And we took this vision and began to develop it into some specific purpose and objectives, beginning with improving safety. There's a pretty poor safety record, in particular in the Stockton Boulevard corridor. And so it is an intent of this project to develop improvements to reduce the number and the seriousness of crashes in the corridor. We want to improve the multimodal infrastructure to provide a safe environment to walk, to cycle, and to access the transit service in the corridor. We want to build upon the existing transit ridership that already exists in the corridor through providing a more premium transit service. And through these measures, hope to be able to support economic development and provide access to opportunities, to jobs, to education, to services. And finally, we want to be able to build the project. And so we're trying to develop the project to be fiscally responsible, so that it's going to be cost effective and that it will be able to advance into future phases of implementation. I'm going to divide the rest of the presentation into two sections. The first is going to focus on bus rapid transit, and then the second part of it will focus on multimodal and complete streets improvements. So starting off with the bus rapid transit, or BRT component, a high-level definition of bus rapid transit is a high-quality bus system. And it can include some or all of the elements that are listed here, which could include dedicated lanes for the buses to provide a faster service and a more consistent travel time, transit signal priority for buses so that the bus has a better chance of getting a green light at a traffic signal and doesn't have to stop, enhanced stations along the route to provide and facilitate efficient boarding, and also provide amenities, make it a more comfortable waiting experience for transit riders. And then a key component of bus rapid transit is also differentiating it from the standard bus service as a higher level of transit service. It's often, rapid transit is frequently referred to as light rail on rubber tires. So as I mentioned, we're looking at two alternative BRT routes. The alternative one follows the Route 51 alignment along Stockton Boulevard to Broadway, and then it makes its way into downtown along 7th, 8th, and 9th Streets. And our alternative two is our Route 51, Route 38 hybrid alternative, which runs along Stockton Boulevard to T Street and then comes into the Midtown and downtown through 29th and 30th Streets and J and L Streets. Transitioning now to complete streets, and a high-level definition, and you probably know this, maybe a little preaching to the choir here, but complete streets are roads that are designed to be safe for all users. And the goal is for the street to be comfortable and accessible for everyone, no matter their mode of travel or their abilities. And components of complete streets could include bike lanes, wider sidewalks, improved pedestrian crossings, and dedicated bus lanes. And those are all things that we're looking at. And we're also looking for input on a travel mode hierarchy as we're going around and conducting our outreach for the project. And what we've defined here as the travel mode hierarchy is starting with the most susceptible users in the corridor, with folks that are walking and rolling as the highest priority in the corridor, and then working our way down to cycling and micromobility, followed by public transit, and with vehicle travel being at the bottom of the travel mode hierarchy. And so this is a reimagination of the Stockton Boulevard corridor, which is heavily geared towards automobiles today, and that has been its function over the years. And now I'll walk through a sample corridor segment. This is a segment of Stockton Boulevard between Elder Creek Road and 20th Avenue. It's approximately 1.7 miles in length. And we've divided the corridor into segments to try to imagine what type of improvements could fit within the space that we have to work with, and starting to consider some of the trade-offs within that available space. And so, quick overview with some existing conditions photos here. You see with the photo on the left side of the screen, sidewalks are relatively narrow, quite frequently obstructed with utility poles and other obstacles within the sidewalk width. At the back of the sidewalk, there are often trees or utilities, which can make it challenging to be able to widen the sidewalks. And the corridor also has a high prevalence of driveways with a lot of open spaces there that also detract from the pedestrian experience along the corridor. And we're going to show a few alternatives that we've developed initially here for consideration for this section of the corridor. The first option we're showing here, alternative A, is an option that primarily just looks at reallocating the space between the existing curbs along the corridor to introduce dedicated bus lanes, wider bike lanes that are out there today. And we would, with this alternative, look for opportunities to widen the sidewalks in areas where there are obstructions out there today. Some of the trade-offs or constraints associated with this alternative is that there are narrow Class 2 bike lanes. There's not a buffer from the adjacent bus lane. And in general, there's nominal improvements for cyclists and pedestrians. But this is a lower cost option for this portion of the corridor. Alternative B looks to some additional capital investment to be able to improve the conditions. And what's shown here is the introduction of a shared use path on one side of the roadway. It would be approximately 11 feet in total, but 2 feet of that is consumed by the shoulder. With this alternative, we also limited the improvements to the existing back of sidewalks to avoid major impacts to utilities and other obstacles that exist behind the sidewalks. So some of the trade-offs with this is there is a higher cost associated with it. It requires more extensive construction with sidewalks, with curb ramps along the corridor, and the reconstruction of a number of driveways. Some utility relocations would also be required. And with this, there is also the constraint that it is a relatively narrow shared use path, and there's not an adjacent on-street bike lane where we have the on-street path with this option. Our alternative C, we didn't limit the improvements here to the existing back of sidewalk. We took an opportunity to really reimagine the corridor to provide separated facilities for cyclists and pedestrians, their own designated space within the corridor. The trade-offs associated with this is that it's the highest cost option. It requires widening of the road on both sides to accommodate the sidewalks and extensive driveway reconstructions, and also a lot of conflicts between the existing back of sidewalk would need to be addressed. There would be impacts to trees along the corridor as well as utility relocations that would need to be addressed. Transition now to a update on the project status. As I mentioned at the outset, we're currently in the alternatives analysis phase and are looking to complete this phase by summer of 2026 by selecting the preferred alignment of the BRT route and by narrowing down the complete street improvements in the corridor to have a project that is defined to be able to advance into the environmental review phase that would begin in the second half of 2026 and extend through 2027. Only Stage 1 and Stage 2 of the project are currently funded, so as we begin to transition from Stage 1 to Stage 2, another item that will need to be addressed is identifying funding for future stages of the project. And subject to securing that funding, the project, if it remains on schedule, will then advance into final design in 28 and 2029 and would be ready for construction in 2030 and 2031. And that wraps up the presentation. You see Jesse's name is listed there as the contact as the city's PM and as the consultant's project manager. That, you know, I'm working in close partnership with Jesse, and we'll be happy to address questions and also looking for comment and feedback as we are considering which alternatives to advance in this project.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your presentation. Clerk, do we have any members of the public who would like to make public comment on this item?
Thank you, Chair. I do not have any speaker slips on this item.
All right, thank you. And then turning it to our commissioners, Commissioner Barnbaum.
Yes, can you go back to the slide that shows on one half, I think on the left it was Route 51, on the right it was Route 38? Okay, and you were looking for some feedback on this as to which design is best to go forward with.
For the BRT route, yes.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that the Route 5138 hybrid alignment, and for two major reasons. South Sacramento residents and businesses would have a direct alignment to the University of California, Davis Medical Center and Aggie Square along Stockton Boulevard, north of Broadway and south of T Street. And interstate and intercity bus and rail travelers would have from South Sacramento a direct one-seat ride to the Sacramento Valley Station, which they do not have today. On the bus, you only have the options of Route 30 and Route 38, which are more easterly and westerly, along with the light rail alignment out to and as far easterly as historic Folsom. This currently leaves out South Sacramento. While I'm a commissioner appointed by District 2 in North Sacramento, one thing that I have had to keep in mind while serving on this commission is we don't just serve our district, but we have to look at the whole city and the big picture when discussing things. So that's hence why I make the motion to tentatively of this commission meeting, adopt alternative 2, the Route 5138 hybrid alignment for the reasons I stated.
So this is just a discussion item, so each commissioner is welcome to weigh in and articulate your opinion on any of the ththings that have been presented. So I think
you don't need a motion.
Don't need a
at this
motion.
time, Vice
Don't,
Chair.
No, don't. Okay, thank you. Did you have any other further comments, Commissioner Barnbaum?
No, that was the comment or motion I'd like to make and have this commission and the commissioners consider what was said. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Guerrero?
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. You mentioned that you're seeking more funding. Will you be applying for community project grants through the federal government?
We're not quite sure what grants we're going to apply for yet. That's something that we'll investigate during the course of this calendar year. one grant specific to the BRT that we're potentially going to investigate through the feds is a capital investment grant, which is through the Federal Transit Administration. And so as we're developing the alternatives, we are evaluating them to see how they would rank within that specific grant program. Beyond that, we're going to look for additional funding opportunities because it will likely be more than one grant program that's necessary to fund this project.
Yeah, because definitely in the, just coming from the federal government, you have the ability to do earmarks and submit community project fundings through your local representatives. So I don't know if it falls under Congresswoman Dori Matsui, but I know it does Senator Padilla and Adam Schiff to be able to provide this and present it largely and try to get community project funding that way as well. Just a suggestion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carr?
Oh, I had just canceled, but thank you so much for your presentation. It is excellent. It looks like it's in in the first phase right now, and so it's a good start. We look forward to seeing you in the rest of the phases. All the best.
Thank you. And I'll just kind of take a point as, Vice Chair of the Commission. I will echo Commissioner Barnbaum's comments. Yes, as we do represent particular segments and communities within the city in which we reside and identify with, it is incumbent upon us to look more broadly as the whole city and, if possible, even the wider region with some of our items that come before us. And as you were presenting, at least the feedback I would provide you is, I think, just like Commissioner Barnbaum mentioned, I think the Route 5138 truncation and turning that into the bus rapid transit line, I think has the best connectivity, touching upon a lot of the main connection points and different businesses and other transit connections. That would be my choice. But again, I don't frequent that corridor. I don't live down that corridor or have, so, but I would definitely want us to do outreach and collect data from those within that region, as you have been doing all throughout this project. So that would be my feedback to you, specifically leaning towards, just as Commissioner Barnbaum articulated so well. And then trying to think of anything else. I think this is again, one of our many long overdue projects. This is really inspiring to see, and that we're one of the first to actually kind of contribute and be part of this planning process as you're moving forward and trying to see, that as you develop the project, more specifically, seeing what funding sources you can tap into. And I think, yeah, all options are on the table, so see what we can get in order to really enhance this corridor and really activate it and make it, become kind of a economic engine for this area too. And then Jesse.
Yeah, so I do want to announce, I think it's okay to announce, we're going to have a public meeting on April 15th at the Oak Park Community Center. And so we'll also be doing we'll do a presentation to the Active Transportation Commission and a presentation to the Sacramento Transportation Authority, the STA, will be in April as well. So yeah, April 15th for our community at large meeting, where we'll be presenting a lot of the same information you saw tonight. So thank you.
Glad we got a first sneak peek at this presentation. So as it's making its rounds through our various different other entities in the region. With that, I will turn it back over to you, Jesse, for your staff report.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you.
Vice Chair, I'll just mention that Oak Park Community Center is located on Route 68 if you are attending by transit.
Thank you. Yeah, always good to have those transit options.
Staff oral report?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't want to steal your thunder too much.
No. Just
Oh,
to
hold on, Jesse,
Yep.
1 second.
Go ahead.
Oh, Commissioner Carr, did you have a comment you wanted to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that when, is it possible when you have the community meetings to have some kind of Zoom link? Because a lot of people are unable to attend the meetings, but if given a Zoom link, like people just, in general, just like to log in and you may have more public input that way. Thank you.
Yeah, having a virtual option and surveys are, both are good. And then Barnbaum, did you have another comment you need to make? That's it? Okay. Well, thank you again. And then Jesse, with your staff report.
Yeah, so quick staff oral report update. The Sac Valley Station, which Greg presented on February 27th, had its 100th anniversary. So there's banners at the station. There's a press article on KVIE Abridged. Will come out March 3rd. Event announcements for the 100th year at station are coming soon, so if you want to celebrate that. Our Marysville Boulevard Vision Zero Quick Build project came before the commission last year. The contractor's been selected, it's been awarded, and will most likely start seeing construction activity on March 30th. Project should last 35 working days. There's going to be some notifications going out to Del Paso Heights Community Association and Hagenwood Community Association. And then I would like to, maybe I'm taking Vice Chair Ellis's thunder, but
No, it's all
I'm
yours.
staff, so I get to work.
You can have it.
You can have, okay. So your annual report was approved by the P&PE committee on February 17th. And so that's going to be forwarded to the full council on March 24th, the 2 p.m. meeting. And so, yeah, so P&PE heard the item and approved it. And so congratulations. There was a lot of nice remarks made at the meeting. And so it'll be going to the full council on March 24th. It's the 2 o'clock meeting. It will be on the consent calendar, but you can speak to it if you happen to want to attend. And one of the recommendations has been forwarded to the Budget and Audit Committee. So, Chair, one of your longstanding recommendations is to have a citywide accessibility coordinator. So that was forwarded by P&PE to the Budget and Audit Committee. And so I'll have more information on when that would come forward, so.
Yeah, I just want to say, this is huge. This, like Jesse said, this has been in our annual report for the last 3 or 4 years now, to have a citywide accessibility coordinator position. And while it's not necessarily, you know, them approving the position and going out to hire for it, it is a giant step in that direction. That the fact that this position is going to be discussed as part of the budget process for this coming fiscal year, I think is enormous. That, you know, these issues around accessibility in our city are going to be kind of in a center stage with regard to the city budget conversations. Granted, the city budget has some issues. They're not exactly got a surplus. They've got a deficit, and so. But I think it's worth that it's going to be part of the conversation. And I just want to, you know, even though they're not here, really thank Vice Mayor Kaplan and Councilmember Vang, who have been our champions of this commission and really pushed forward this this motion to send it to Budget and Audit. So just my thanks to them from this commission. And then the other item that I do want to that it was also noted in the meeting by the council members that's been in our report, at least the last 2, I believe, is regarding public comment. So there was a change in state law, and the city and the city clerk's office are going through a process to revamp the public comment process to comply with state law and making it more accessible for both city council and the boards and commissions. So that should be, that process is, you know, they're working through that revision process now and hopefully should be in place by July is what they shared with us during the committee meeting. So, yeah.
And I have reached out to that project manager to have a presentation as the rollout.
Fantastic. So, thank you, Jesse. Is there any commissioners who would like to comment on any part of Jesse's report before we move to our next item? Commissioner Greenbaum?
Thank you, Vice Chair. That's amazing news. I mean, in terms of, you know, the conversation moving forward. Will we be advised, and perhaps maybe there are not, would be related to the budget, but public meetings in terms of, you know, when this goes to that committee, are there further public meetings before the public is what I mean to say, or comment?
Yeah, as far as I know, the Budget and Audit Committee is a public forum.
That's what I would assume too.
Yeah.
And that's just if we could be advised of those dates,
Yeah,
I think
we
that would be
can-
important
If
for
it
us.
gets agendized with them, I think we can share it out.
Great.
That's on upcoming meetings.
Tentatively, I'm targeting the May 5th, 2026.
5th is a Tuesday.
Yes.
So I would, but wait for me to confirm that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And watch your emails for that, because we're going to have
We're going to come out in force, as much as we can, given the Brown Act.
Right.
Yeah, got a little naggy Brown Act. Not all of us can show up all together at once. Commissioner Barnbaum?
It was going to be under Commissioner comments and ideas. I have some comments of some upcoming work, but is this the right time or not?
Give us one more moment to make sure. Anybody else want to comment on Jesse's report? Otherwise, yeah. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to Commissioner comments, ideas, and questions, and I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Barnbaum.
Okay, so back to kind of what I was mentioning earlier today, and I mentioned quite a bit in past meetings, Vice Chair Ellis, we're now at the point to just notate that on the calendar approved by the City Council, what it is showing is that the next meeting scheduled for this body is Wednesday, April 22nd, followed 2 weeks later by Wednesday, May 6th. And I was kind of going back and forth of how many weeks then, you know, if one meeting was taken away, you know, how many weeks in between would it be to June 3rd, which is pretty certain that's going to happen. And I have mentioned I would like to not have the May 6th meeting, because if we went from now to the 22nd of April, we're talking 7 weeks from now would be April 22nd. And then another 6 weeks for June 3rd. So, which is about even. But if it went the other way and we canceled April but kept May, then we're talking 9 weeks to the next meeting and then only 4 weeks to the meeting after rather than 7 and 6. So I would rather keep the April meeting and cancel the May meeting due to spacing between meetings and to what Commissioner, I think it was Napper, said at one meeting that she would like to keep the April meeting as well, so we would prepare for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is in the month of May, but then not have the meeting in May. But I know it's something that we need to discuss before we assume what our next meeting is when we adjourn today. So I wanted to get to that first, and then I have some announcements to make.
I'm going to defer to Jesse because I can't remember what we decided on this one.
So I'll take that into consideration. It is my purview on which meetings we have, and so I'm working with our staff, but it looks like we're going to keep the May meeting and cancel the April meeting.
Okay,
It
so,
depends on the staff availability
Yeah,
to come
and
before
our
us and
reports, and
present.
also lining up our speakers and their availability as well. So it looks like right now May is working better than the April date.
that May is working better to hold the meeting,
Correct.
Hold the
and
meeting.
April is looking better to cancel the meeting.
Correct, thank you, yeah.
Okay,
Final notice would come about 10 days before the meeting.
okay, so we should know something by the close of business Friday, the 10th.
Around about then, yeah.
Okay, because the 10 days before would be the 12th, which is a Sunday, and business is closed.
Correct.
Okay, and then, okay, the announcements I want to make. So we often talk a lot about accessibility and mobility and our options in this meeting, and having accessibility via alternative mobility modes is very important. But so also is if you know of a service disruption that's planned, it should go on the record, and I do. So I want to let people know, beginning the weekend of the 14th and 15th of this month, along with the 21st and 22nd of this month, there will be a bus bridge in place between the Marconi Arcade Station and the Cathedral Square Station. The reason is so that contractors can tie in a second track to the main line around the Dos Rios Station project area near the Richards Triangle. There will also be platform modification work from the 16th through the 26th at both the Arden Del Paso and Royal Oak stations in North Sacramento. Blue Line trains will operate, but skip stop Arden Del Paso and Royal Oaks while contractors are working to modify the platforms at those stations to eventually accommodate the operation of the new S700 low-floor light rail vehicles. A bus bridge will take riders from the Globe to the Swanston station for those that need to absolutely get to Arden Del Paso and Royal Oaks, but won't be able to by light rail train because they will be just running through the stations. From the 27th through the 31st, continuing work at the two stations, but a bus bridge will be in place between Alkali Flat and Marconi Arcade, and there will be no train service through that section during the close of this month. Okay, now going into the next month. From Wednesday, April 1st through Monday, April 13th, the platform modification work will be at Watt I-80 and Watt I-80 West. Those stations will be closed to the public. Currently, no information or details about specifically a bus bridge, but as soon as one comes, I'll let you know. Tuesday, April 14th through April 17th, construction at Marconi Arcade Station for the platform modification. Saturday, April 18th through Sunday, April 19th, construction at Arden Del Paso Station. Monday, April 20th through Thursday, April 23rd, construction at the Marconi Arcade Station. And finally, April 24th through April 26th, Friday through Sunday, construction at Marconi Arcade and Royal Oaks stations. Please be advised, all the work that I have mentioned is weather permitting. So the schedule that I just read could change if factors do not comply in pouring concrete in the rain, because rain and concrete don't mix very well. Okay, thank you. If there's any questions about that schedule, it's at sacrt.com. That's where I got the info from. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Commissioner Carr?
First of all, welcome, Commissioner Guerrero. It's good to have you on the commission here. Thank you so much for joining us. And secondly, I'd like to say that March month is the month of national, it's recognized as National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And each year in March, Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month focuses on increased awareness on the needs of those with developmental disabilities. And this observance also highlights their potential in school, work, and home. It's important to remember that a person is not identified by their injury or by their disability. Each injury or disability affects a person in a very different way, and how we support the person and treat them will require a lot of patience and understanding. So we've got to keep that in mind. And March is actually also National Cerebral Palsy Awareness Month as well, to bring attention to the group of disorders usually diagnosed in early childhood. And it's also Brain Injury Awareness Month, which alerts us to the causes and aims to eliminate the stigma around the brain injuries. That being said, also National Women's Awareness Month, Women's History Month. So it's encourages us to honor the women who came before us and fought for equality among all races and genders. There will be a Women's History Month celebration on March 19th in Paso Verde School in Natomas, hosted by Trustee Sumiti Mehta, sponsored by Councilwoman Karina Talamantes, Councilwoman Lisa Kaplan, and yours truly. So please join us. And the highlights of the event are student speakers, leaders, and panel of local community leaders. Thank you. You're all invited. Thank you.
And thank you. Seeing no other commissioners seeking recognition, we'll go to our public comment for items not on the agenda. Clerk?
Yes, we have one public speaker, L.R. Roberts.
One before, and you'll have, I believe, up to 3 minutes.
Oh, it's good to see Mike. It used to be when I went to these meetings and they were not here, we used to meet, and I used to come from Californians for Disability Rights. Tonight I'm being Older Women's League. I've become their treasurer. I am in dogfight with Joseph, but I'm not speaking for dogfight today. For a long time I couldn't come to meetings because I was caring for a disabled husband who has since passed on, so I have time to come to meetings again. So yesterday I came to the city council meeting and I parked across the street. And I have developed a disability in my leg and I cannot walk long distances. I got a ticket for parking there too long. So one of the things we used to fight about when I used to come to these meetings is if you come downtown, even if you're on a commission and you try to park, you can't park. And they said, well, with a placard, you can park anywhere. There has to be a vacancy. So at a city council meeting recently, I had to walk 4 or 5 blocks. So because I found a place across the way, I didn't move it after a certain time, and I got a ticket. I thought if you had a placard, you didn't have to do that. So I'm going to be fighting that ticket. We were still having this problem, is that, yes, you can park anywhere with a placard, but there has to be an open space. And so some of the elderly people, like myself, I'm 74, we find ourselves skipping meetings downtown because we cannot park anywhere near where the meeting is, especially the Capitol's especially bad. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is I've been coming to city council meetings and complaining about how we fund things at the city council. So what they do is they spend a lot of money hassling homeless people, a lot of whom are disabled. So about a month and a week ago, I leave a city council meeting that started at 2, and there is a woman who's older than me, which is hard to do, and she's with her walker, and she's laying down on the bench because she doesn't feel good. Well, you know now you cannot lie down on the bench at City Hall. So there are 4 bike cops telling this woman she can't lie down on the bench. Then 2 more cops show up, bike cops, and then 2 more cops on foot. So 8 cops give this woman a ticket for lying down because she doesn't feel good, and someone has told me that she thinks that's an ADA violation. So when they do that kind of stuff, because a lot of homeless people have disabilities, it counts in the budget as homeless services. So imagine how annoying that is. So the public doesn't like that homeless people have everything they have thrown away, and they also don't like that that counts as homeless services. So I think we need to stop this silliness. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. So we really appreciate your participation in our meeting this evening, and we'll be taking them under consideration. With that, we have no other items on our agenda. Thank you all for a very vibrant meeting this evening, and I will declare this meeting adjourned. I don't.